You have over 200 million users, which is astounding. I'd like to start at the beginning. Obviously, adherence to exercise is a challenging thing for all people, but you've been able to, in a way, gamify kind of that process of adherence. So tell us a little bit about kind of the original premise of the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah. So look, I mean, it all started at the time of me kind of started to think about why is it so hard for us to be sustainably more physically active? Like, it's very clear that we are sliding down that slippery, slope of inactivity. Like a smaller proportion of the world population, they understand that they get it. They have intrinsic motivation to be active. You look around yourselves and uh, seems to be everyone's running or doing something healthy. Reality is different. Reality is that 70% of the world population are inactive, and it's getting worse and worse. And the main reason is that we've not been created to be active.
Hmm.
If you think about this, we were made to exercise certain, very short spurts of activity, to chase food, to get it, and then live in the battery saver mode. Try to preserve whatever calories we could obtain. So the Mother Nature did not create us to be active. Mother Nature created us to be preserving whatever calories we could get. What Mother Nature didn't know at that stage is that at some point in time we would be able to get those calories so cheap and so easy.
Hmm.
So the whole point, the whole kind of the starting point was that how do we essentially, in essence, rewire our psyche a little bit to make it, worthwhile almost. And then the question was, okay, why are we inactive? What does it take to be active? Now, uh, to be clear, the single best reason to be active is intrinsic motivation,
Hmm.
without a doubt. So from that perspective, that healthy propaganda, healthy lifestyle is fantastic. But not everybody gets it. So we've wanted to create a product that will be essentially, it's almost like a polar opposite to the likes of Strava. Strava is for amateur athletes. Strava is for people that do not need that extreme, further reasons to be active. They already get it. And we wanted to build a product for people that are not, they're actually struggling to make, 1,000 steps a day, let alone 10,000 steps a day. So with the exact opposite of that, we are, so to speak, we are the product for the serial strugglers.
Hmm.
And that's coming back to your original question. So how does it work? We wanted to create a pretty, like a very gamified, very non-intrusive, very low touch, fun way of making and incentivizing people to be more active. And that's how the whole thing started. We wanted to build something that will not require as much effort, because behavior change therapies, behavior change products, that tend to be quite heavy in
Hmm.
terms of the amount of friction they create, in terms of the interface they deploy, because that all comes from a place that's quite far from a regular user.
Hmm.
And we wanted to make a product that's user first.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine the task is how do we remove all friction from this, make it as easy as clicking buttons so that you get into the app and you're immediately starting to take action. Did you have experience in user design, in user interfaces? How I feel like was that the key driver to like making this work?
It was one of the key drivers, and I personally didn't, but I was lucky enough to be able to have a different skill, which is finding the right people when I need them.
Hmm.
And that's something that's a skill I possess. And
Hmm.
I was able to find very early on a great team that started the company, and we all did it together. And I think that the key thing was to essentially articulate the concept initially, and then the concept felt always and still is, it's too good to be true. It's almost like, how is that even possible? So I think that it took a bit of a leap of faith for us to say, you know what, we think we can make it work. And that's just okay to say, okay, I'm prepared to risk my money just to put into this and just see it through. So I
Hmm.
think that was the most important thing. But then, of course, everything else is quite important. You can fail at any point in time, and you just need to iterate, need to move ideally quickly. Yeah, so that's how it all started. And by the way, in terms of them making it really kind of to remove all friction, you mentioned pressing buttons, as easy as pressing buttons. Ideally, you should not even have to press buttons.
Hmm.
That creates a really low friction interface.
And, I imagine go to market also is like a constant iterative process. And I'm not sure if is it B2B to C or is it directly B2C? Is it both?
Yeah, great question. So, very early stage, it was very clear that once we got that product and we saw that retention was considerably higher than an average retention for a health and fitness category, we immediately started thinking about growth and immediately started thinking about the business model. And one of the things that we wanted to avoid is to become dependent or reliant too much on the B2B side, because the B2B is a very difficult market, especially in healthcare, in health insurance, very long sales cycles, very particular type of partner that you need to convince. So we decided that we wanted to build a business model that's going to be B2B first, B2C first, sorry, just to be independent from that uncertainty. And that allowed us to actually reframe a little bit the user experience we were focusing on. And that's something that, we first figured out growth, and then secondarily, we figured out how we can monetize that user base that we were creating.
Hmm. You mentioned once you saw retention was there, what keeps people on the app and how long do they typically stay on for?
Well, many people stay forever, and we've got a bunch of users that have been with us from the first day. What makes them stay is, I guess, many people come for rewards.
Hmm.
But those that stay, actually, they stay for health. Let's make it clear once again. I mean, some people come for rewards. They are expecting to get an iPhone in 7 days of walking, which is completely unrealistic, of course. And some of them that do not see that, they leave.
Mm.
But a vast majority of people, they join, they enticed by this promise of rewards. They go into the app, they start walking, and then over time, they develop the habit. And then they see that the real value they get is the habit. Of course, they get some rewards. Of course, you can generate something useful, and of course, there's hundreds of different rewards from our partners out there. But that's not the point. The point is that rewards is not the ends; it's means. And the ends is adopting a new healthy habit, which is extremely difficult to develop.
Hmm.
So the reason most people stay is that healthy habit.
Does the app start tracking your movement as soon as you start moving? You don't have to activate your phone or activate the app.
Not quite. So the point here is that we actually take data from the health kit, from the the something that's inbuilt
Hmm.
into your app, be that an iPhone or an Android app. We then pass the data through a layer of authentication, so just to make sure that nobody's shaking the phone or does some other funny business. And then on the basis of this, you can start generating those air miles for steps essentially, and those air miles can be traded into something else.
Hmm.
So yeah, so you need to install the app in order to start doing this, but you don't necessarily have to engage with it too frequently.
Hmm. And then in terms of monetization, is it kind of like this freemium model where a subscription, you
Yeah.
know, eventually gets layered in?
Yes, it's a combination. So we do have free. Obviously, it's a freemium model indeed. Yes, we've got the subscription, and we are also very good at monetizing the free user through a combination of commercial partnerships with big brands.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways how we can do it.
Would like to hear about some of your investors. I mean, you've got some good investors that are backing the company. Have they played a role in adding value aside from the financial capital?
Look, I mean, we are privileged to have a fairly strong roster of investors, but we got into profitability quite quickly.
Hmm.
So we got the first and the only round of fundraising in 2018. In early 2020, we became profitable, which at that stage was a very rare case because the vast majority of the VC wisdom at that stage was like raise, raise, raise. Don't think about the capital. You'll think about it when you grow. So that's sort of a blitzscaling model that indeed created a bunch of unicorns, but also made lots of founders lose their business.
Hmm.
I was a little bit more like slightly different in that respect. I always felt that the business needed to generate cash
Hmm.
and be ideally profitable, and that helped us more than once. So from that perspective, we are very kind of happy with our investors, and we are grateful to them for their support. But luckily, I guess for us, we didn't have to fundraise too often. So we didn't raise a round of funding since 2018.
Hmm. So, given that you have the ability, demonstrated ability to, recruit or acquire up to 200 million users, do you feel like that skill set you could replicate that in other consumer apps?
100%. Not that we are intending to build or launch new consumer apps, but that's definitely the type of skill that's extremely rare. And actually, it's much, much more rare than building a great product, because if you look at the consumer internet, there's no shortage of great products.
Hmm.
The great shortage is for distribution.
Hmm.
If you can't build great distribution, then you're toast.
Hmm.
So I think from that perspective, we are super proud of the growth engine that we've built, which is I'll be bullish. It's state-of-the-art thing that's, very few people, very few other businesses manage to replicate. We don't have the direct network effect,
Hmm.
and that makes the whole thing even more impressive. And that's something, by the way, that's one of the big opportunities for us, because even now, Sweatcoin is still very much a single player sort of product. And we are definitely very bullish on the idea of making it a multiplayer
Hmm.
thing, like a social thing. So yeah, I think that the growth is a very important asset, and you need to hold on to it and continue to hone it for as long as you can.
Hmm.
Actually, we've just signed a massive partnership with Novo Nordisk,
Oh,
which is the
wonderful.
producers of Ozempic and Wegovy.
Yeah.
So these guys are very, very interested, the producers of anti-obesity drugs. They're very interested in creating a digital behavior change therapy that would go alongside the treatment itself. Without it, it's fairly difficult to sustain the gains that people would get from getting the anti-obesity drug,
Mm.
because people that do it in a passive way, they unfortunately face with a number of problems, including that the muscle and bone weight loss and things like that. They also, again, the moment they stop taking the drug, they gain that weight back.
Hmm.
So I think we're very, very excited about the complementarity of our services with the major big pharma players that operate in the GLP-1 drug. And from that perspective, I think this is what we've done just now is a very promising opportunity we're super excited about.